Hey there, welcome to the Momwire series. So the question of the day is, hey, have you ever heard, just let it go, just move on, just let it go. But really, how do you leave behind things that no longer serve you? That's the topic of the day. And I'm so excited to invite my sweet friend, Stacey Dolan. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me. She's an awesome mom of two. She lives in Texas. She has a beautiful business called Healing Works, and it's perfect for her because she is, gosh, since the moment I met her, I knew she's like super intuitive. She's a deep thinker. She's a beautiful person, and I am grateful to connect with you as a friend and today to talk about stuff. So
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we're just moms talking about momming and the idea of let it go. And boy, I have a whole story on how hard that is. But I mean, some of the things you've heard that, right? Like, oh, Stace, let it go, move on. I mean, how hard is that?
I think it's really hard. I think it's really hard, and our culture sort of supports us trying to hold on to what we have, I believe, and what we've worked so hard to create. And it leaves us very little space to dream and want something totally different. And sometimes it's something that you just really want in your heart, but then sometimes, like you, it's a surprise baby.
Wait,
Like, get on board.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's so true. It's so true. It's like you're cruising along and we think we need to hold on to certain things, hold on tight. And it's what we know, it's familiar, it's comfortable. But life is all about change. Life is all about literally moving on. But sometimes that comfort zone, we just hang on to so much and it doesn't serve us. So how do we create that? I mean, do you have thoughts or stories around like all of a sudden that awareness of going, oh, dang, I need to let this go?
Well, I think that it's really important for us to stay in touch with what we want and what we dream about, and I think we get so busy taking care of what we have, or, well, I'm 53, by this stage you've worked and you've created these things. And a lot of times, you feel like you've already, reached where you were going to go, or you're too old, or whatever that looks like. But really, we always want something. And I feel like the dream is really important, and thinking about not just what you want to be, do, or have, but maybe how you want to feel, and what experiences would bring you that. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is the motor that propels you forward. But in wanting to go and create something new, like be a great mom, right, when you start at 43, like you did, you really have to let go of what you thought you were going to do, right? You have to let go of, I'm too old for this, or whatever other beliefs come up. And so to me, the propulsion is getting really in touch with what you want. And that requires a little bit of quiet time and maybe a little bit of searching, because we're just so busy, right?
Those are some good tips, some quiet time, some searching. I'm a big believer in meditation. And that is a big way that I have found to do the quote unquote let it go, or to just have that clarity come to me. Like you're talking about, that clarity of, wow, that does no longer work for me, or no, that friendship is actually toxic, or wow, why am I pushing my kid to do this when they can't stand the idea of piano lessons, or whatever. Even both of us, we had some advanced maternal age or pregnancy. Like, what did they call you when you were having a baby at your age?
Geriatric pregnancy. Geriatric. I was 37 and then 39 when I had my two. Now geriatric pregnancy. I'm like, wow, that's a word.
Grandma Stacey coming along, lady with the baby, get through, let her through with her walker. It's like,
I know.
And that was back, 10 years ago or so. I know more and more women are having babies older and older. Mm-hmm. But I don't know at the time. And that was something too, like, I had a little, I hate to use the term lightly because I don't mean it lightly, but a little PTSD about how I was treated in that way. Like, even just like, oh, we've got some serious concerns about birth defects and this and that and all this stuff because you're old. And I'm like, 43? I mean, of course I was thinking like a 30-year-old, but so I'm like, this isn't possible. I'm even 43 and having a baby. I was total denial. But yeah, that was really a tough thing for me to let go, is how I was treated in that way. Did you find the same thing?
Well, I had my babies with a midwife, and so I had the first one at home with a midwife, and I had the second one in the hospital with the midwife, and so they were very supportive, and so I didn't experience a whole lot of the fear aspects of it, but that's also, it's kind of like, where do you plant yourself, right? So I had a good friend who also had a baby. She had her probably 10 years before me, but probably she was, older when she had hers, and her doctor did all the fear things, like you need to do all these testings and the percentages of things that could go wrong. So she entered the birth process with total fear. I was feeling like, oh my gosh, all my friends' kids are like 10 years old or 15 years old, and I'm
babysitters.
Yes. So I was really surrounded by people that really encouraged me, and I really just didn't look. And, and that really is a good point to just throw into this conversation, is that the people that are surrounding you and what you allow yourself to hear makes a huge difference. Because, so I'm a big proponent of trusting life, and trusting God, that there's a reason why things happen when they do. And, we can only control the controllables, right? Like if you have an unexpected pregnancy, I mean, you have it. What are you going to do with it, right? You might not be able to control that, but you can control your line of thinking. You can control who you talk to, what you read, and you can get yourself through meditation or whatever tools you have access to getting yourself to a place of peace, regardless of what hurricane you're in the middle of, right? And so sometimes you have to change what you want. And when my clients don't know what they want, I say, well, let's just start with, I want to be happier and healthier. Because that pretty much works for all my clients, so far, right? I want to be happier and healthier. And then thinking how, in embracing that, what information, what people do I need to surround myself with to support me in this new way of life, right? And then the boundaries, like you were saying, maybe who you have to let go of, like a friend, or what you read or what you don't read, really does influence how much peace you can have. And so moving forward at this stage of my life, I'm pretty intentional about who is in my life and who maybe is a little bit further away in terms of how much of my information they have access to, or who I call when I'm struggling.
Yeah. No, that's so good. And I have that. I wish I would have known then what I know now. And my whole process brought me to like that awareness and the illusions I was living, and doing a lot of shifting in that. And it took a process. But yeah, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I give people too, is really be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with. And you think, oh, no big deal or whatever. But if there is somebody toxic that you're not willing to, maybe break up with right now, limit it then, or go in with like an awareness, like this person is always negative and it has an effect on me. Okay, I'm going to limit my time. I'm whatever, because it has an effect on you. And sometimes I used to think, well, isn't that kind of like snobby to be like, oh, I don't want to be friends with you anymore or whatever. But when I saw the effect on me, I realized I can't even help them. If I'm not in a good place. And so, yeah, there's some friendships that have gone by the wayside. Nobody's worse or better, blah, blah, blah. But it was something that I did realize for myself. It needed to be left behind. It no longer served me, and I no longer served them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I don't know if you are, but a lot of my clients are very sensitive people. I think that you probably are sensitive to energy, or highly sensitive people. And so the more sensitive you are, and the more you can learn to embrace it and honor it, the more you really, you just don't have energy for, a lot of the drama. No matter who you are, you're going to have drama. I mean, let's just be real. It's like you're running late, or, my kids' schedules will go haywire. That happened to me just yesterday, where it just creates a lot of stress where you weren't expecting it. But what I teach is, the health of your nervous system is really about your ability to put it down. It's so easy for us to go up into stress. Nobody's nervous system has trouble with that. But how good are you at coaxing yourself back down? Because you don't want to spend a lot of wasted energy. So if you have people, or even places, that stress you out, it's like, are you going to put yourself there?
Yeah.
And so it really is it comes down to self-love and decisions.
So tell me some tools. Like, do you have some tools? Do you do? I know I love Mel Robbins. She does the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Replace the thought with an anchor thought that serves you. I mean, do you have some tools in those moments that you use, or you have used, or are really good things to cling on to?
One of my best tools is the breath, right? Because the present moment is really the place where there's peace, right? In this very moment, we really don't need more money or a friend or in this very moment, we can just be breathing in and out. And so for me, the breath, and I love essential oils, so I might use an essential oil blend with some eucalyptus or something that helps me take a deep breath, slow my breathing, and maybe try to get into gratitude, but really just to come back to the present moment, because I know that when your nervous system is calm, your body can do what it needs to do. So I don't have really a specific breathing technique, except for maybe like the box breathing, where you breathe in 2, 3, 4 and hold it, and then out 2, 3, 4 and hold it 2, 3, 4.
I just did that. I just did it like in the.
You do that, that will really calm your nervous system. And I think it's really hard to go from 0 to 100. Like if you're really stressed out and unhappy and angry or whatever you are, to go to I'm blessed. Because your nervous system really knows that you're lying, even if you know.
Nervous system's going liar.
One of the tools that and I honestly don't remember where I got it, but it's not originally mine, is to think of all your emotions in 2 categories. Like there's 2 buckets. So you have a bucket called fear, and you have a bucket called love, and that kind of comes from Course in Miracles, if you know that.
Oh yeah.
But so in the fear bucket is everything that doesn't feel good, right? Jealousy, anger, stress, overwhelm,
your kid's screaming without stopping. Please stop, please.
Like you're going crazy, right? In the love bucket, you have sharing, connection, hugging, love, feeling good, abundance, all those great things.
Belonging.
So you're always in one or the other, right? So what I like to teach is, if you think about it like a radio dial, you're either tuning into one or the other, right? So if you're really tuning into the fear station, let's say, and one thing happened, your mind's going crazy. So trying to move that dial over to the love channel is as simple as gratitude, right? And if, let's just say for fun, that you're in a really, really horrible, horrible place, and you really are mad at your husband or your kid, and you're like, okay, what am I grateful for? And there's like nothing right now. I'm grateful that they're potty trained. I'm grateful that they can breathe in and out without help. Right?
I'm grateful that they're gonna sleep tonight and just not be near me.
We didn't go to the hospital this week, right? That I'm grateful, and so you could be funny. Like, I'm really grateful that I'm just whatever, that they picked up a dish. So you can do just like the silliest. It's almost like if you can find your sense of humor, you make leaps forward, right? So you can be grateful that they have 2 feet or something like that. And what happens is you're slowly moving that dial over to the love channel. And when you're over there, you feel so much better. And so that's probably my best tool and trick, is to recognize that you're tuning in to the negative fear channel. And if you want to raise your vibration, you can use gratitude, but I just would strongly emphasize that you have to be realistic. Because if you're in the total bad place and you start saying, I'm so blessed, blah, blah, your brain just knows that you're lying, right? So the
faker, poser
that are true, right? Well, I have some friends that love me, I have this, I have my favorite jeans on, I'm going to have a cup of tea. The next thing it's like, what? I'm okay. Even if you're in the hospital waiting room or the lawyer's office or wherever you are.
Right. Yeah. When I felt my crappiest, I remember thinking, I have gratitude that I do have toes. I'm thankful for peanut butter. It just is like, I'm glad I have hair on my head and don't have to like wear a wig. And then ultimately you can be like, I am grateful I'm alive. because I get one more day to either figure out this issue or breathe into this issue or be grateful for this issue. Or even if my kid's driving me crazy, I'm grateful for the kid because this is one day and tomorrow will be different.
And we were talking about what other people bring, like what energy they bring and why we need some boundaries. But I think it's helpful to talk about, what energy we're bringing. Because if we're in that crappy place and we're driving around town feeling that way, putting that energy out, like that's what we're contributing to the collective consciousness.
Yes.
Right? And so if we want to contribute at least a neutral vibe, right? Or a positive vibe, but not a negative vibe, it's almost like we're responsible to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
Right? So letting go of things, which is our theme, like, God, I'm willing to let go of this stress. I'm willing to let go of this anger. Why? Because I love myself, and holding it in my body isn't healthy for me or for anyone else. Right?
That brings up such a good point too, because that also encompasses the law of attraction, right? If I'm out spewing my complaining, what am I going to attract? Really positive people going, no, Lynn, you've got this. You can have this baby at 43 and get over your denial. You'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. I mean, no, I'm attracting people going, yeah, man, hope it doesn't have birth defects. And wow, if it were me, we have shared that with you, comments I received. And part of that is not like, oh, shame on me, but it was more like, wow, how was I showing up? What complaints were I just spewing out there? And therefore, surprise, surprise, what was I attracting? What was I contributing to the consciousness? I was bringing it down. Well,
but don't you think you need to have those conversations with a trusted friend or a therapist or somebody where you say, this is not what I want. Like, this is completely derailing my life.
Yes. But the difference is, like, not with everybody, wah. It's like you said, it's like, Stacey, I need to talk to you. I am down. I've had a setback. I'm looking at it this way. Help me sort this through. And it's like me and you, and we're connecting, and I trust you and I love you. And I just know that you have my back and you're going to walk me through that. You are not, especially knowing you're not going to let me just complain fest away. You're going to help me process and go, oh, okay. I'm aware of that now. And I can accept that now. And I can see that and I can release that now.
Mm-hmm. And validating for you, I understand how you feel, that you're not crazy. However you feel is how you feel. You don't have any control over that. But really, when you validate yourself, you somehow can just put it down, right? You don't have that internal argument, like, I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't be this way. It's like, I do feel this way. Maybe it's not socially appropriate. I'm not going to put it on Facebook. No. Right?
Yeah.
I remember when, so my second pregnancy was a surprise. We had Emily when I was 37, and so grateful because I was older and we didn't really think we would be able to have kids. And we had Emily, and then, like, bing, bang, here comes Charlie. We barely get the weight off. Emily's starting to walk. Here we go. We're pregnant again. And I remember my husband at the time, we sat on the sofa with the pregnancy thing, and we were like, okay, we're going to sit here until we're happy about this.
Oh, wow.
We're going to sit here until we're happy about this, because, we were just getting kind of our life back and getting around and getting the hang of it. He was even quite a bit older than me. So it was a huge change to have a baby at that stage of life. And, anyway, we did just kind of have to wrap our brain around, well, God wants, and what if it's a boy, and what if it's a girl, and what'll that look like, and wouldn't it be nice for Emily to have a sibling, and we'll be okay. It's going to keep us young, and so it's like you kind of, I don't really want to seem like it's like you're talking yourself in it, but it's like you're getting on board with what you can't control.
Well, it's back to what we were saying. It's what you focus on. You could focus on all of the, oh my gosh, how old will I be when this kid graduates from high school? I'm going to be, people are going to think I'm the grandparents, blah, blah, blah. We went there too, for sure. But it's what you focus on. And bravo, you two both chose to sit there and focus on, let's find out what it's going to take to be happy, because we can control and choose how we think, what we think about this.
How we respond. But
and the grace to give yourself, like, okay, but part of this sucks too.
Yeah, it's derailing our life. Like, it's derailing our plan. But, God does that to us, and we can do that to ourselves. Mm-hmm. There's people that have been lawyers for years and years and super successful, but they always wanted to open a personal training gym or a bakery or something like that. And everybody around them is like, you're crazy. Like, why would you do that? But they have that dream in their heart. And it's like, just because you're good at something and you've made money or you've been successful, does that mean that that has to be your forever thing? I mean, can you put it aside and just go for some crazy dream and so sometimes I think God just plants that like he did for you and really for me. But sometimes it's also our choice. And so, it's like the chicken or the egg. What's better? You do it to yourself or God does it to you. But really, I think it all comes from what is meant for us.
Yeah. The chicken or the ovulation. No. Yeah, no, that's that's a good point too. It is so interesting. And it's interesting how, that dream is put inside of you. Like, as you know, in a little while, I'm launching a book about this whole scenario, but really what drove me is looking at this role of mom and how I got so stuck and how I got in such deep denial and how we look at the role of mom and what we expect from moms and how they need to show up. And that's why I called it the perfect cupcake. And it's just one of those things of like, let's have that conversation. Let's have that discussion. Most importantly, for moms. Not for anybody else to speak into it, but for moms, what do we expect of ourselves and where do we stop trusting ourselves? And is it time to let that go?
Yeah. And I think that we all, whether we're young, very young, or geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah. What up?
That we all get to be the kind of mom that we want. Like some moms want to be vegetarian with their kids, or some moms want to breastfeed, some moms want to work, and really, this is 2019, people. You can be whatever kind of mom you want to be. But even though that's really true, if you were raised a certain way, that this is how moms are, or we always homeschool, or we never homeschool, or we go to private school, every time, I've gone through this with clients just in endless, situations where it's just so hard to break that culture. And you have to be like a rebel just to want to do it a little bit differently. And I experienced that too, as a mom, wanting to do things a little bit in a more natural way, or, some choices that I made for my kids. And there's a lot of kickback. Oof. A lot of kickback if you're not doing what culture is. But like I said, I think you need a community, even if it's just one or two trusted people who are willing to support you in doing the things that you want to do. And then in going with our theme, that means you have to let go. You have to let go of what people think. You have to let go of you're the one that broke the tradition.
Yep.
You're
going to hear some comments. It's those family of origin issues, which is like a whole nother conversation. Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Part of letting go means that your dream means that you have to let go, expectations of others,
and all of and some of the fears surrounding that. Again, my story I'm sharing, and it is big. It is definitely big. Well, oh my gosh, this has been such a good conversation. Thank you so much. And what's cool is a lot of the things that you said. You brought up your clients, and you work with people. Now, make sure I get this right. With QNRT, quantum QNRT. Okay, you say it.
Quantum neuro reset therapy.
Okay. And that is like really what we've been talking about. It's that process. Tell me more about that.
So it's a specific way. It's a neurological therapy. So you do some neurological testing on the brain. So you just do some tests with some eye movements and sway patterns. And it tells us what part of the brain is carrying the most stress. And each part of the brain has different types of emotions and limiting beliefs. And so it's a way to prioritize what you need to let go of to change your life and to live in the present and let go of the trauma of the past. So it really is an emotional trauma release therapy, but QNRT is a specific way to prioritize what you need to work on.
Wow.
So it's not just like talking about everything that happened the last 50 years. It's just like, you know what, we're going to talk about trust, because this is a part of the brain that gets triggered that way. And if we can calm that part of the brain.
Is it specifically about trauma, like big traumas, or like quote unquote, it sounds bad. If you've experienced trauma, you're traumatized. So is it like kind of the big and the little, as we might say, like all of that?
It's all of it, because if it was a trauma to you, it's a trauma to your nervous system. So some people's trauma is just, I was the only child and mom had another kid, and that was trauma to me, right? Or it could be a rape or an abandonment or something horrific. But if it was a trauma to you, it could be moving to a different city and leaving people behind, or of course, death and things, divorce, things like that definitely trigger trauma. But if it was a trauma to you, especially if it was a shock and surprise, then your brain holds an imprint of that in the subconscious mind, and it does have an effect on how you move forward and how you can't let things go. And so it helps.
Yeah, fascinating. Okay, so obviously I'm going to include all your information on how somebody can contact you and find out more about that and perhaps get involved or engage. But that fascinates me. I love anything brain, and I'm always working on mine.
Yeah.
So I can't thank you enough. This has been a great conversation. I so appreciate all of your comments and all your shares. And thank you so much.
Yes, I love seeing you, Lynn. Thank you for having me today.
All right, well, we'll be back together, I'm sure. But so appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Stace.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Remember to subscribe.